Welcome to a new program on FRC TV called FRC Media News. I'm FRC Media Director Keith Tebow. FRC Media News will provide a recap of the week's news and feature interviews and segments on the people and organizations that make up Fall River. Each week, the program will debut at 6 p.m. on Thursday nights with a repeat at 6 p.m. on Friday nights. The program is a complement to our online news resource, also called FRC Media News. We invite you to check out our website at FRCmedianews.org. You'll be able to see this program on that website, as well as our FRC Media website, FRmedia.org. I'd like to welcome to the show now the editor of FRC Media News and our co-host for this program, Donna Mata. Donna, thank you for joining us, and welcome to an exciting new feature here at FRC Media.
And it actually is, Keith, because you and I have been planning this show for a very long time.
We have. We launched our online news resource, FRC Media News, back in September. So it's been about 4+ months. We brought you on to be our editor and sort of run the show. I think what we wanted to do, and I'll have you expound about it a little bit, is we wanted to create an entity here at FRC Media that provides community-based information and really information about the topics that people in Fall River in general really care about, right? Correct?
That's correct.
And if you go to our website, FRCmedianews.org, you'll see that there are various categories of topics with which we provide news, and you can see it on the screen now. Donna, go over some of those, if you will, and why we kind of chose these topics, if you can.
Well, first of all, I'd like to just tell the audience who doesn't know who I am that I have been very involved in broadcasting for years. That's how actually I know Keith from way back in our radio days. With that said, I have a lot of contacts here in the city, and we're always looking for news stories and ideas, by the way. But when we came up with the website, we decided to actually populate it with stories of general interest, as Keith has mentioned. So we have neighborhood association meetings, and there's a tab on the website that you can actually go to and see what's happening currently and throughout the week. We have government, public safety issues, education, politics, as well as culture and arts. We talk to various people and interview them. So that's what we have on the website, and it's actually very exciting.
One of the things that's different about FRC Media News is that we're going to try not to be a traditional news outlet in that, you know, we don't have the staff. This is our staff. This is our staff. Donna's our staff of FRC Media News right now. So it'll be difficult for us to cover things like fires and car accidents, things of that sort. But we wanted to make it community-based and focus on things that the general Fall River population would be interested in. We're going to do our fair share of politics, our fair share of government, which a lot of people are interested in, but even things like, as you said, neighborhoods, things like
culture,
things that general Fall Riverites would probably be very interested in. And that's been what we've done so far, right?
That's exactly what we've done. And the nice thing about the website is we have video on the website as well. We share our posts and our videos on Facebook through FRCmedianews.org. And again, we ask you to obviously visit the website. What we do here for the recapping of the news for the week can be, well, it's being repurposed actually on the website.
Correct. Correct. So what you'll see on FRC Media News, you'll also see here on FRC Media News on television.
And vice versa.
And vice versa.
There
You'll see the show on the website. So that's a way for us to sort of cross-platform our resources, and it's worked out very well. And one of the things that you'll see more of Donna, you'll see more with her on this show, but Donna will also be sitting in this seat from time to time as host, as we'll be splitting off hosting duties from week to week. So Donna, thank you. Great work thus far, and we're going to move forward. Right?
It's very exciting, and it's just an absolute pleasure to be here.
Great. So again, what else can you expect to see on this program? Well, what we plan to do is kick off each show being joined by Will Richmond, digital news editor for the Herald News. We're working a partnership with the Herald News to provide collaboration, if you will, on parts of this program. We'll also discuss the headline news of the week during that segment and also take a peek into what lies ahead. Now, the remainder of the show will evolve from week to week. We'll be using many of the video elements from our FRC Media News website, as well as talk with those people who are making an impact in Fall River. Those people could be local politicians or a member of a local community organization looking to promote their next event. Again, our goal is to provide grassroots community information that will benefit all Fall River residents. So let's get the show started. Right after this short break, we'll be joined by Herald News digital news editor, Will Richmond.
Here are the latest jobs from the Fall River Career Center. Security Officer, job number 674-7755. Administrative Assistant, job number 673-2018. Assistant General Manager, job number 677-1552. Automotive Customer Service, 679-4163. And CNA, job number 675-1605. For more information, call the Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. As we mentioned, a key part of FRCmedia News each week will be speaking with Will Richmond, the digital city editor for the Fall River Herald News. And Will joins us from the conference room at the Herald News in downtown Fall River. Will, thanks for joining us, and we're really looking forward to this partnership as we move forward.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Keith. I know we're looking forward to seeing what we can do to promote this program and get the news out there.
Yeah, I really do appreciate it. And, you know, we worked out a system where you're actually going to be in the office, so you don't have to come in here each week. And so far, so good in terms of the technical side of things. I want to start off, let's get right into some of the news of the week. Mayor Correia has been in office just a little over 3 weeks. One of his big platforms thus far has been the reorganization of city government. He has laid off a couple of key department heads already. He is looking to reorganize the Department of Community Maintenance. So there was some movement on that this week. He actually was before the City Council to talk about some of those issues as part of the Finance Committee. Actually, he didn't start. It was actually Kathy Ann Viveras who actually started the meeting. But then the mayor actually found himself as part of the meeting to sort of defend some of the moves he's already done. That's sort of interesting. We usually don't see that, do we? A mayor before the City Council too often.
Yeah, it's certainly unusual to see the mayor show up before the council. I think we saw Sam Sutter do it at one point. Actually, as he discussed his own personnel choices in his office, I believe it was last year, and Will Flanagan made an appearance or two, especially around the budget time. But especially for this early into the term, it is pretty unusual. And it certainly seems that Mayor Correia wants to get his point across to the council, and you know, if it's coming direct from the horse's mouth, that may not be a bad thing.
Right. It seems like during the exchange, the mayor had mentioned that, you know, he's given some of this information to some of the councilors. The councilors said, well, you really haven't given us a lot of the story. Is there a possibility here that there could be some contentious times between the mayor and the council?
Well, I think part of it is we are 3-4 weeks into the beginning of the new term. There's probably a feeling out period that is taking place here, even if all sides may not realize it yet. But there's a lot of new councilors. You have a new mayor who is coming on very strong right to begin with, you know, several initiatives. And I think there's just a feeling out that needs to take place. Lines of communication need to be opened up. And I think with time, this could be a better situation from both sides. But they're still feeling each other out, it seems.
Right. Obviously, we'll see more as it progresses. Mayor is working on the fiscal 2017 budget, which is before him and his staff, and I'm sure we'll find out more about his reorganization plans very soon. Just to switch gears, in related to that, in budget items, the city this week received word that they're going to be receiving a little over $1 million for police and fire needs. What does this mean, Will, and is it any different from any type of grants that the city has gotten in the past, which has led to some problems, specifically in the fire department?
Well, certainly this is a grant that the fire department has received fairly annually the last couple of years. Or excuse me, the police department has received this grant. The fire department, this is the first year these funds were made eligible for the fire department. Through an amendment that was pushed by Senator Rodericks. So that helps them. This does not come with some of the same ties that the SAFER grant comes with, okay, and also the size of the SAFER grant which caused a lot of the problems in the fire department. I think we came to find that while it was exciting to be awarded the largest grants ever in SAFER grant history, it came with a lot of problems at the end of those grants. This is a much smaller amount, should hopefully be more manageable, and something that the department can plan on going forward.
And it would be mainly, from what I understand, just sort of a supplemental funding. It's not necessarily going to bring on many firefighters or many police officers. It's more of a supplemental funding that may maintain what they have. Is that safe to say, or?
Yeah, the city has ID'd these funds to maintain staffing or get hires through that that they've been making. So, you know, this doesn't come with the same caveats as the SAFER grant that we're more familiar with in the fire department. It will maintain staffing going forward, and that's the important thing. It's better than losing staffing.
All right, other local economic news. The city found out this week that its unemployment rate went up a little bit to 8%. I guess that's sort of a seasonal thing that we see here after the holiday season, and you know, some part-time and temporary holiday jobs are let go, and the city's unemployment rate went from 7.1 to 8%. That's been a trend pretty much year in and year out, right?
Yeah, that's not uncommon for this time of year, as we start to see, I think, even some of the seasonal jobs from the fall, from the summer and fall, that start coming off the books as well. So this increase is not unexpected, though I know city officials, especially led by Ken Fiola in the Frowhead office, believe that there's sort of an unfortunate way they calculate these numbers that also help to lead to the increase. But for what the amount of the increase is, it's not it doesn't raise any red flags or concerns of a long-term unemployment increase here.
And the city still, unfortunately, ranks as one of the higher regions in terms of unemployment in the state. Is that correct?
It does, but it's certainly not uncommon, its number, alongside other urban areas and gateway cities in Massachusetts. So on a comparative basis to those like-sized cities, it still remains kind of right in the area
right.
It's been.
One final article of the week is actually breaking news as we're recording this show on Thursday, the death of Providence Mayor Buddy Cianci earlier today. And you posted today an article not only about the former mayor's passing, but also his relationship with former Mayor Will Flanagan. Talk about that.
You know, certainly Will Flanagan built up a close relationship with Buddy Cianci over the years. It happened pretty early on after his election as mayor, and they stayed in regular touch. From what Will had said today, you know, they often had dinner together. They continued to have monthly conversations since Will left office at the about a year ago. So it was a nice moment. I know he was close with him, and
right.
He's sad to have seen him go.
Right. All right, Will, what can we expect this weekend at the Herald News, and maybe what we can look forward to next week?
Well, our big Sunday piece this week is going to take a look at parenting in the current generation, the explosion of technology, and those types of things, and how they affect kids and their parents. And then heading into next week, I'm sure we'll continue to be tracking the mayor's reorganization, and keeping our fingers crossed that there's no snow. Very
good, Will. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks a lot.
All right. Sounds good, Keith.
All right. Two of our stories were on the Mayor Correia's reorganization plans, and we also touched a little bit, what we wanted to, about last week's storm, which the city handled very well. Donna had a chance to speak with the mayor and DCM head Ken Pacheco earlier this week on those two issues.
Thank you, Keith. I sat down with Mayor Correia this week to talk over his progress to date. One of the mayor's requests to the city council was to take away some responsibilities from community maintenance director Ken Pacheco by allowing him to just oversee the city's buildings department. I asked if he felt he was giving Mr. Pacheco a demotion, since Pacheco will be getting a $15,000 pay cut, leaving him at approximately $98,000 a year.
No, I don't think it was a demotion. I mean, we had the conversations with him. We talked this out. And he knew that, you know, we had to go in this direction, and he enthusiastically accepted the buildings position. On the building side, so we basically, to give you a quick overview, we separated that department to buildings division and community maintenance. So then the buildings division, and Ken is a plumber by trade, so he really has a background in this area. He'll be maintaining all city buildings, all city-owned properties. Also, the school department is really what we want to do. The school department has 20 staff members for building maintenance for 18 buildings. The city only has 3. So what we'd like to do, so imagine all the buildings we have to maintain, we only have 3 people. What we'd like to do is combine those forces. So now that we can charge the net school spending number for their staff members as well, which is really great. And then we can also place them at other places if necessary. So it's just creating efficiencies, modernizing government, eliminating levels of waste is really important to me, so that the taxpayers really see a benefit of their tax dollars.
Along another vein, Mayor Correia explained that since Sam's Club is closing in the city, he has set up a job fair for today, Thursday, January 28th, and tomorrow, Friday, January 29th, for those now unemployed workers.
We're excited to have created a job fair on Friday for them, just for Sam's Club employees, and we've brought together some great partners. And that's what it's about. It's about the mayor reaching out and intervening as much as I possibly can to make people's lives better and easier in Fall River. That's really my job. So we've reached out to all the local Home Depots, Somerset, Dartmouth, I think even Seekonk. They're coming, and they are willing to take almost every single person that wants a job, which is awesome, which is really, really awesome, from Sam's Club. We have, I believe, Stop and Shop will be there as well, and I think a couple other businesses. So we're very excited. I believe all 125 will leave Friday with the application and hopefully a job.
Community Maintenance Director Ken Pacheco talked with me about how the city handled last week's first major snowfall.
So this year's the first year we'll be using a monitoring system on snowplows and all of the city equipment. So what it's going to enable us to do is to track where the plows are. It's going to allow us to make sure that we're not missing stops, missing streets. And with that, we should eliminate a majority of the calls that we get after the fact. So there's a lot of dead-end streets. There's over 700 streets in Fall River, 250 miles of roadway. And to make sure you don't miss any of that, it was a daunting task before. We would physically have the drivers, the sector leaders, drive up and down every street, checking all of the dead ends and everything. Now this eliminates that particular piece because we can see it happening real time. So as soon as the street gets passed, there's a truck, you know, the breadcrumb from that truck is left on that street. And it tells us what time they went up that street also. So we can see which truck did it, what time they went up the street, and it also gives us kind of a quality control too. We see who did the road, if it's done the way we want it done. And then immediately after the storm, so the start of the storm, the GPS gets turned on, that's the time clock. After the storm, it gets shut off as soon as we dismiss that driver, and it now downloads itself into the program so that we can have a invoicing. And hopefully we're going to, you know, expedite the billing, get it down to somewhere around 10 days from the time a snowstorm happens till the time the drivers get paid. And that'll definitely help them out, especially the smaller companies that, you know, only have 1 or 2 trucks with us. You know, they put out a lot of money for fuel, they put a lot of labor into this and repairs, and this way it'll keep them active.
So you think you're cleaning up the streets more quickly this way then?
Well, I think we're more efficiently. I think the time, you know, most storms are, you know, anywhere from 12 to 24 hours in length, and that it's not going to change. That's the storm. But what we're hoping to do is make sure that we don't miss stuff, because the after storm is much more difficult than the storm, because the equipment goes home. Now we're using city equipment. You know, the drivers are already tired from their regular shifts, so it's very difficult to get this stuff done in an efficient way after the storm.
Now, the last storm we had was not as bad as we thought. Did it deplete your budget much?
Oh, it's a good chunk. So it's an 8-inch storm, and the city's expense is anywhere from $25,000 to $30,000 an inch. So it's a $250,000 event, you know, on the average, and we'll harden those numbers up once we get all of the pieces together. But that's usually the rule of thumb for Fall River.
Which is a lot more than I thought. Your budget's only, what, 5 something?
5 and change, yeah, $524,000.
So obviously you can get more if you need it.
Yes, yeah. So what happens with the snow budget, it's the only budget in the city that can be overspent. And what we do is I send a letter to the treasurer. From the treasurer, it goes to the city council and the mayor, letting them know that I need to overspend the snow budget.
Now, speaking about money, how did the city pay for the GPS system?
So the GPS system is part of our overall communications. It's through Verizon. And we've worked out a deal with them that the half of the bill will be paid this year and half will be paid next year in FY17. So that's really a help to us, and it allows us to implement this with over 200 pieces of equipment.
And what is the cost?
The cost is roughly $32,000 for the overall equipment, of which there is a time. As soon as the equipment gets turned on, we get charged a fee, an air fee, so to speak, just like a cell phone, which is a small fee, a $3 or $4 fee for the GPS piece per month. And then the other piece is the actual purchase of the equipment. So we own the GPS equipment.
So well worth it then.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we'll utilize this eventually for a lot of other things. You know, our trucks already have a monitoring device. Our trash trucks already have a system inside them, you know, for quality control and for assistance in nuisance calls. But this would be just one more piece in that technology upgrade that we've been trying to do over here for the last 8 years.
Thank you, and back to you, Keith.
Thanks, Donna. We'll have more FRC Media news right after this.
Gretchen. She's a 6 to 7 year old Portuguese hunting dog, or Padengo. She came to us as a stray, and she's very shy, very quiet, and very, very calm. She'd do well with somebody who's familiar with the breed, and basically all their little quirks, once they get comfortable at home, they can tend to be a little bit mischievous. And I have a feeling that that's how this quiet little girl will be. She is selective with dogs that she's comfortable with, and she did pretty well with a cat. She can be seen here at Forever Paws Animal Shelter, 300 Linwood Street, Fall River, Mass. This is Romeo. He's the cool cat of the week. He's a 3-year-old domestic medium hair. He's extremely friendly and loves a lot of attention from people. He does well with other cats, and he really is just looking for a very loving, affectionate home that can give him all the attention that he requires.
Fall River voters last November voted to establish a charter commission to review the city's organizational document, changes to which have not been done in some 80 years. Donna sat down with Charter Commission Chairman Mike Mioza to give us an update on the group's work and how the public can get involved in the process.
Hello, I'm Donna Mata for FRC Media News, and I'm here with Charter Commission Chairman Mike Mioza. Hello, Mike. It's good to see you again.
Thank you for having me on.
Yes, no problem. We're talking a little bit about what the Charter Commission is actually doing in the next few months. But let's start with the newest information in terms of the survey. You have a survey here that the Commission came up with.
That's correct.
Just tell us about it.
Well, what we learned when we looked at other communities that had went through charter reform or charter review, Newburyport was the latest one, and what they had done, and they thought was a very helpful tool, was they created a survey. So basically they could get the pulse of the community. What was it that the community really wanted to see changed? Because you got to remember, whatever the commission ultimately puts forward, the citizens are going to have to vote on that in 2017. So we really have to have a really good understanding as to what the community is going to be willing to support in terms of charter changes. Otherwise, we risk the charter changes getting voted down. So we came up with our own questionnaire. It's a 12-question questionnaire, and it primarily is based on questions that we've heard throughout the community, I would say for the last 5 or 6 years that I've been involved in looking to do charter review. So basic questions like whether the mayor should serve a 2-year term or a 4-year term, whether the city council should serve a 2-year term or a 4-year term, whether the school committee should serve a 2-year term or a 4-year term, whether there's a belief that the city should go to ward councilors, whether or not the mayor should serve on the school committee. So some really basic fundamental questions. Most of them are yes or no type questions. And we have 2 ways that we're going to be distributing this. One will be through the census that will go out the first week of February. That roughly goes, what I'm told, anywhere from between 52,000 to 55,000 households. So that'll be one way that we'll solicit feedback. The second way, Donna, will be through online. So we're working right now with Florida Government TV and some other media outlets in the city to see if we can do an online survey as well. In addition to all that, we're going to have a lot of public hearings so that the public can weigh in. Our next one is going to be Thursday, February 4th at the South End Neighborhood Association at the Good Shepherd Church. That'll start at 6:30, whereby we'll listen to the public. What is it that you want to see change, and we'll document all that. But again, the whole purpose of all this is we really have to have a good fundamental understanding as to what the community is going to be able to support in 2017 when it goes on the ballot in November.
Now, how are you paying to distribute the surveys?
Well, fortunately for us, we are going to be piggybacking on the census going out. We've saved ourselves actually $22,500 by piggybacking. That census has to go out. So we have some incidental costs. I think our total cost with paper and folding is about $1,600. So it's not a whole lot of money.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's a really good deal, and it was an opportunity that we had to move quickly on because we had just gotten elected in November. We just found out that the census was going out, and we put this together. We think it's going to be a really good tool, and it's going to really give us the flavor. What is it that people want changed? Can they support a 4-year term for a mayor? Can they support ward councilors? What can they not support? What are they not willing to support? So that we know that we should not work on something that there's not any appetite for the public to support.
Very good. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Donna.
I'm Donna Mata, FRC Media News.
We'll hear more from Mr. Maioza and the Charter Commission as their work progresses over the next 18 months. Recently, State Representative Carol Fiola sponsored a roundtable discussion on the economic prospects for our region.
State Representative Carol Fiola held the first roundtable discussion on business and economic matters at Heritage State Park today, Thursday, January 14th. The event was part of the Joint Committee on Economic Development and Emerging Technologies. Introductions came from House Chairman Joseph Wagner. Also in attendance, Deputy Secretary Carolyn Kirk. The purpose was to discuss the best ways to promote Fall River's infrastructure. Mayor Jazel Correia II spoke before the group, explaining his desires, and that basically is to see that the waterfront is connected to the city's downtown as well as improving the look, feel, and accessibility to the State Pier. Chamber of Commerce President Rob Melian also spoke. He explained how the state can help improve Fall River's image by helping to promote the city as business-friendly. Also in attendance were Carl Hertzler, president of the Fall River Industrial Park Association, Jim Wallace, and Ben Cooper, local business owners. They talked about the importance of maintaining traffic control and maintaining the roads in the park located in the city's north end. Finally, Ken Fiola Jr., Executive Director of the Office of Economic Development, also had a turn at the mic. He urged the state to release portions of $200 million that is currently unused as part of historic tax credits. Money, he says, that can improve infrastructure in gateway cities like Fall River. The discussion was attended by approximately 75 business leaders, representatives from UMass Dartmouth, and interested private residents. The committee members represented areas throughout all of Massachusetts. For FRC Media, I'm Donna Mata.
Representative Fiola plans on sponsoring more of these discussions in the near future. That'll wrap up this premiere edition of FRC Media News. We're looking for story ideas and community information that we can share on the show. We're also seeking community members to volunteer to help us gather news. If you fit either of those bills, please send editor Donna Mata an email at donna@frmedia.org. FRC Media News is produced once a week, airing Thursdays and Fridays at 6 p.m. But our online news site is available 24/7 at frcmedianews.org. Please check it out. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great week. We'll see you next Thursday.